Hello, my name's Chris, and today I'll be taking you through a number of tips you can follow to achieve a great band score on the IELTS Academic Writing Exam Task 1. First of all, let's briefly look at IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 to see what it involves. This is the academic module of the IELTS writing test and requires you to write 150 words in 20 minutes. The good thing is that this exercise can be easily prepared for and you won't find any unexpected surprises on exam day. So, when you open the test paper, you'll see two visuals on the page. For example, a graph or a diagram or a chart. You'll then be asked to write a short, structured report based on the information you see in those visuals. Essentially, you'll be asked to describe patterns and trends on the diagrams in a clear and logical way. This is one of the more predictable sections of the IELTS test, and there's no reason why you can't master it and get a great band score, especially if you follow these tips based on the 4 marking criteria, which are task achievement, grammatical range and accuracy, lexical resource, and coherence and cohesion. Okay, so our first tip is perhaps an obvious one, but an important one. Read the instructions thoroughly. Yes, you only have 20 minutes for task 1, so you probably feel you need to start writing at once. But this can actually lead to you losing marks if you haven't read the questions carefully. So just take a minute to read over it a few times to fully grasp what it is you are being asked to do. This is where doing lots of practice tests before the exam can really save you time. Our second tip is to plan your answer carefully. Before you begin writing your answer, it's very important to already have a planned structure in your head. You can prepare for this before exam day by trying lots of previous exam papers online and familiarizing yourself with the types of questions and marking structure of the exam. This will help you plan how long you need to spend on each of the 4 parts of task 1. Practicing this test beforehand really is the name of the game if you want to do well on exam day. You should aim to do as many practice tests as you can. You'll find that they help you in a number of ways. First, they allow you to identify any mistakes that you regularly make, however small they are. By noticing them and then writing them down, you can avoid making these mistakes in the main test. And I think grammar checking software like Grammarly, for example, can really help you in this area as well. In particular, you should practice writing your overview paragraph, as this is the most important part of this test, with the most marks to be gained. A key point to remember is that you should write your answer in general terms and not include numbers in it, as you're describing the most important aspects of the data in the diagrams. Practicing with the official exam sheets is very useful if you're worried about how much space you will have to write your answer, and this way you can get a good idea of how much space you need for a 150-word answer. Our next tip is to make use of online resources. Nowadays with the internet, preparing yourself for the IELTS writing exam is so much easier than it was 20 years ago. You have some great websites and apps just a couple of clicks away to guide you through the stages of this test in detail. Websites like IELTSbuddy.com and IELTS Advantage have lots of useful resources to help you, from checklists of do's and don'ts, examples of different visuals, and excellent sample answers, as well as mock tests and videos. There are also lots of great YouTube tutorials to watch, including videos from Oxford Online English and English lessons with Andy, which we would definitely recommend watching. So the next thing is to try and include several signposting words or discourse markers to guide the examiner through your answer. So words and phrases such as "another significant trend is," or "this graph indicates that," tell the examiner exactly what it is you are writing about. But like any language, make sure you don't overuse this vocabulary. Next up, don't give your personal opinion on the data in the visuals. You'll actually get the chance to give your opinion in task 2 of the test. In task 1, you should only describe the information you see in the diagrams, and don't draw your own conclusions from the data or give reasons for it. This is an easy way to lose marks, so be careful to avoid doing this. Now we would like to share a couple of small but important points about how you write your answer that will save you time. Remember that if the question asks you to write about 2 or 3 things in a graph or diagram, then make sure you only write about 2 or 3 things. If you write more than that, you'll simply lose time for no extra marks. Also remember not to use bullet points, abbreviations or notes for this part of the test, and make sure that your handwriting can be clearly read and understood by the examiners. Our next tip is to use synonyms. An easy way to lose marks is to simply copy the words from the question in your answer. So instead of this, you should paraphrase the question by writing synonyms of the words in the question. You can prepare before the exam by learning common IELTS question vocabulary and similar words that you can use. For example, instead of "the question demonstrates," you could write "the question indicates." Another thing to keep in mind when you start the exam is don't overcomplicate the questions. Many candidates actually lose marks by trying to over-describe trends and patterns they see in the diagrams. Sometimes the data really is as simple as it looks. Our last tip for today is to make sure you report the data in the diagrams correctly. Again, this can be a small but potentially costly mistake. If a graph gives a figure of, for example, 298 robberies in a town in 1 year, then make sure you don't report the data as 300, as this is inaccurate. Instead, you could write almost 300 or just under 300, for example. Right, so hopefully you have found all of these tips useful and you already feel more confident on the road to your IELTS writing exam task 1. We wish you the very best of luck for the test and hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.